Hey Guitar Champion, what's going on? Justin Hombach here, back from my practice cave, and welcome to today's episode on how to sound or how to write a solo like Dimebag Darrell. Part 1. Today we are going to take a deeper look into some scales that Dimebag is using, or the way how he's playing with scales. Don't get too confused with the name scale, by the way. So we're going to take a look at something that I named just because they have a cool title for this video, the Dimebag Scale. You will see later what I mean by this. Okay, if you want the free tabs for this lesson, there's a download link in the description box where you can download them. And yeah, without further ado, let's take a deeper look into the Dimebag Scale. Ooh. Okay, the Dimebag Scale. Well, first of all, this isn't a particular scale. It's more a way or a tool how Dimebag is playing with certain scales and to create some certain scales. I call this the symmetrical finger shape scale, and it's basically you put one finger shape or one fingering, like for example 11th fret on the E string with our index, 12th fret with our middle finger, and 15th fret with our pinky, and then you take this fingering and play it on every string. So you have a symmetrical finger shape played on every string. This is a tool that Chris Poland from Megadeth is using as well, or is often used in the Megadeth era as well, to create this certain kind of outside playing and this certain kind of tension. And Dime was taking this concept and was bringing it to the next level, to the next stage of it. The finger shape I played a few seconds ago is the most popular, I would say, symmetrical finger shape scale, what a name, from Dime. It's the first run of Cowboys from Hell. We're going to take a look at some few more examples later on which Dime is using in his solos, but first now let us take a look how this kind of system and this kind of idea can improve your playing and your scale playing, and can bring your playing to the next Dimebag level, so you sound a little bit more like the Dimebag. There are a few cool things about this kind of thinking. The first one is you get this outside tension kind of sound. How do we create this, or how did this happen? Well, let's take a more simple example. Let's take 12th fret on the index finger on the 12th fret, ring finger on the 14th fret on the E string, and pinky on the 15th fret on the E string. So this is our really typical kind of finger shape for the minor scale. And now let's take this finger shape and playing it on every string on the same frets. So there we can see a few of those notes are in the scale, a few of those notes that we get when we are playing the same finger shape on every string are out of the scale. Let's check out every note. So let's take on the nerdy glasses and let's theorize everything of it. Well, first, when we are on E minor, or let's say we are playing this kind of finger shape that I've just played over an E minor chord. Well, then we have the root, the second, the minor third, the fourth, the fifth, minor 6, 7, 8. So the first 8 notes are in the scale, everything fine with it. But then, because we are using the same finger shape, the same frets on every string, we get this note, the F, which is the flat 9. So it's the first note which is outside of our scale. Then we're going to the 12th fret on the G string, which is the G, which is fine. That's in our E minor scale. It's the minor third. The 14th fret on the G string is the 4th, everything fine. But then we get the 15th fret on the G string, and the 15th fret on the G string is the flat 5, or the blue note, or whatever you want to call it. So this is another outside note, but which is really awesome, which you can really use pretty awesome over an E minor chord. Okay, let's continue. 12th fret on the E string is now the normal fifths. 14th fret on the E string is the major 6. Remember, in the minor scale there we have the minor 6. The major 6 consists out of the Dorian scale, for example. So this is another outside note, which doesn't have that much tension in it, but it really spices up the scale playing of you. Then we have 15th fret on the B string, minor 7th, everything fine with that. And on the E string, when it's fine on the low E string, it's as well fine on the high E string, so there's no difference. Okay, so we have 3 notes which is not in our E minor scale. The flat 9, the flat 5, and the major 6. So now this outside tension kind of playing, when we are playing this in scale runs, the cool thing about this one is that the first 8 notes are in our scale, so we are at home, we have no tension, it's everything fine, and then we are moving slightly out of the scale, first with the flat 9, which has a lot of tension in it, and then but we're going next to the minor 3rd, so everything fine, okay, everything cool here, the 4th, everything cool, and then the flat 5, we're going back again out of the scale, having this tension to the major 6. So we are moving slightly out of the scale. It's not in your face, it's slightly. So this is a reason why this works pretty well over easy minor chords and easy stuff, or easy metal riffs and something like this. And it's not too jazzy, but it's really cool kind of outside playing. It's not that you're playing the chords of giant steps in 16 triplets over an E minor chord. No, it's not this kind of outside playing. It's a little bit easier, but a little bit smoother to imply this into your own playing, or to the playing of dime, for example. Especially when you're playing it from the low E string to the high E string. And one of the most important things to really get an effective outside playing is to resolve it in a really pretty good way. And this is what Dimebags makes so special. When you check out the solos where he's using this kind of scale runs, or this kind of scale, symmetrical finger-shaped scales, he's always resolving really great in the really good notes, or in really good notes which fits perfectly underneath the chord or underneath the riff and something like that. For example, when we have a riff in E minor or an E minor chord and we are playing something like, then pay attention that you're resolving into a note from the chord, for example, the E, the root note. Everything fine with the root note. Always great to have the root note to resolve. And another cool thing about this kind of symmetrical finger shape or symmetrical finger scale is it's pretty easy to bring this one up to tempo. Why? Because we only have to memorize one fingering, one finger shape. So we can take a pattern or a sequence, for example, this one, and we can play it all over all 6 strings pretty easy, because we don't have to memorize more fingerings, we don't have to watch out when the fingerings, when we are going to stretch position, or yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So for example, you can go crazy like, well, let's take for example something like, so you can see it's pretty easy to get this one up to tempo, under your fingers, in your ear, and it's still pretty interesting, and sometimes maybe a little bit more interesting than the usual. Okay, let's check out some more examples that Dime is using in his solos. One thing he's often uses a lot is the stretched arpeggio. I have to go to stretching, shredding position now. For example, this one, 12, 15 and 19 on the strings. This one is really effective because we have a minor chord on each string. The root note is always on our index fingers, so we have E minor on the E string, A minor on the A string, because the index finger is on the 12th fret, and on the 12th fret is the same note like on the open string. So E minor, A minor, D minor, G minor. Here we have our first outside note when we are in E minor on the E minor scale. B minor and E minor. So we don't have that much of outside notes and tension notes in particular, but it's still really effective because we have the sound of the arpeggio, the sound of the chord in a scale run or in a scale type of run, which is really, really cool and pretty awesome. And you can do some really more crazy shit, like when you are sequencing some of those, like, I don't know. Let's take this pattern. Then when you do some more crazy shit with it, you sound a little bit more maybe like Buckethead or like Rusty Cooley, but even Dimebag is sequencing it. Let's take, for example, Domination. In the Domination solo, he is using a really similar pattern. He's not playing 12, 15, 19, he's playing 12, 15, 17 to create, 18 to create the diminished chord, the diminished kind of sound. And here Dimebag is playing something like... a pattern like this, going up 3 strings, going down 1 string, going up 3 strings, going down 1 string. So this is a really awesome lick to incorporate into your own playing, to have that Dimebag feeling or Dimebag sound if you want to sound a little bit more like Dimebag. Another really cool example is from Psycho Holiday. Here he is playing something like this. We have this kind of minor triad stretchy arpeggio shape, which we learned a few minutes ago with the 12th, 15th and 19th fret, but this time starting on the 15th fret. So we have 15, 18 and 22nd, and we are playing this on the E, on the B, on the G and on the D string, and resolving really, really awesome to the 22nd fret on the A string or to the 12th fret on the G string. Doesn't matter because it's the same note, the G. So we're resolving, we are in G minor, we are resolving into the root again. We can use, for example, a pattern like the Domination pattern, but in reverse. So starting on the E string, going 3 strings up, 1 string down, with 3 strings up, 1 string down. Yeah, so those are a few patterns how you can use this kind of Dimebag scale. Try to use it for your own, try to apply it in your own kind of playing. And yeah, I hope you liked this video. I hope I'm going to see you in my next video when we're going to check out some few more things which Dimebag is doing in his playing. So yeah, can't wait for the next video, can't wait to see you there. Cheers and progress.